topic is Love Wins. Our first inspired reading on the topic, Love Wins, comes from Dr. Ernest Holmes. Love is the grandest drawing and healing power on earth. And our second is from Marianne Williamson. Love is what we are born with. Fear is what we have learned here. The spiritual journey is the relinquishment or unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love back in our hearts. Let us affirm together with passion. I choose to remain conscious and aware of the presence of love. I'd like to bring up Reverend Kathleen. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Amber.
I want to start with another quote by Ernest Holmes, and it goes like this. The world is beginning to realize it has learned all it should through pain and suffering. How about that one? Surely there can be no intelligence in the universe that wishes us to be sick, suffer pain, be unhappy, or end in oblivion. Surely the presence of God, universal intelligence, which is imbued with goodness and love, would want us to be healthy, happy, prosperous, and enjoying loving relationships. I like adapted it a little bit, so that's not exactly what it says, but that's the essence of it. That's to me what really speaks loudly to the awareness that we are free beings. We are free to create what we choose. We're given the power of creation. Through the power of our word, we participate in creation. Every time we think, whatever we believe shows up in our lives and is part of the great fabric of life. And that's also the ticket to freedom. Because we're free, we may have been brought up a certain way to believe certain things. We're immersed in a culture that believes certain things. And yet, because we're free, we have the freedom to shift that and to align it with love, to return to love. So, worrying about suffering and pain or about the future will not alleviate it, will it? Does worrying alleviate that? No. It's actually, there's actually a better use that we can put to our creative energies, because we know what we focus on, we continue to create more of. So we don't want more pain and suffering, so we don't want to be worrying and focusing on it all the time. And that's the importance of shifting in consciousness into alignment with what we call solution consciousness. So it's moving from fear to love, moving from worry to solution is what we're talking about. And the beauty of it is that when we start coming from that vibration of love, then we are able to access creative solutions that flow into our awareness from the one infinite universal mind with ease and grace. When we raise our vibration to love, then we become more joyful and celebratory about life. And think about this for a moment. I love this idea. Think of how many crises we have transcended over the years. Not only as individuals, but as a human race. All of the different things that we have overcome over the years. And so as we keep our focus on that, you see what happens is you begin to celebrate that time after time after time that humanity has risen above, that we have risen above. And as we vibrate in that frequency of love, this is the cool thing. Anybody read Dr. David Hawkins' book called Power versus Force? A few of us have, yeah. So in there, he has a chart through kinesiology, through muscle testing, where he has developed a whole list of different levels of consciousness, and he assigned different numbers to each level of consciousness, and then found out what the emotions are that that are focused, that are connected with them and so on. So here's the deal. One person who vibrates at the frequency of love, which he calls 500, counterbalances 750,000 people who vibrate at under 200. So under 200 would be things like fear, anger, apathy, grief, pride, shame, and guilt. So as we tune into and start vibrating at that frequency of love, we are making a profound, look at the people in this room. If all of us vibrate at the frequency of love the majority of the time, it doesn't mean we have to do it all the time, then we are counterbalancing however many people who are here, maybe 40 times 750,000 people. Anybody have a great math mind who can tell me what that is? It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. So this morning, if you're looking for a solution or guidance as to what to do or how to move forward in your life, love is the answer. Love is the answer. Any more questions? So the first one is, when we love ourselves, love wins. I have just two things. When we love ourselves, love wins, and when we love others, love wins. So I want to start with a story. This is a story about a woman who accompanied her husband to the doctor's office, and after the checkup, the doctor asked the woman to come into the office and speak with him. And so what he said, your husband is suffering from severe stress. And the husband was he sent the husband out into another room. Your husband is suffering from severe stress and seems unable to mitigate it himself. So he needs your help. Each morning, fix him a healthy breakfast and be pleasant to make sure that he's in a good mood. Use fresh, wholesome ingredients for all of his meals. For lunch, make him something that he can take to work so he's not tempted to go out and eat. For dinner, prepare him an especially nice light meal. To alleviate stress, don't burden him with chores. Don't discuss any problems with him. Instead, always be understanding and affectionate. And finally, relax him in the evening, every evening, with a foot rub. So if you keep this up for a year, I think your husband will recover. If you can't, I'm afraid he'll be gone within a few months. So on the way home, the husband asked, "What did the doctor say?" And she said, "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. He said you'll be gone within a very short period of time." So what I love about this story, we're talking about self-love here, right? This woman knew that if she did all those things, that would not be practicing self-love, and she would probably go down the tubes with him. So helping someone who truly needs help, that's one thing. But helping someone who is just simply being irresponsible and has the capability, he's going to work every day, right? Has the capability to take care of themselves, that's called enabling, right? So enabling is not what it's all about. We're wanting win-win solutions. We're talking about love wins. Love wins for everybody, not just for one person in a relationship. And so, I'm just kind of imagining that this is like a lead-in to her saying, so here's the deal. You start taking responsibility for your health, because I'm not going to take the full responsibility myself. So ultimately, divine love is rooted in a win-win solution. Our decision to embrace ourselves in love inspires others to do the same. So as we practice that, that's what happens. And loving ourselves aligns us with beautiful opportunities, with amazing experiences, and with something else that's so valuable, deep inner peace. So that's when we love ourselves, love wins. I bet that made an impression on you, right? When we love others, love wins. A Course in Miracles says, teach only love, for love is what you are. So I'd like to illustrate with this story about a cab driver, a story told by a cab driver. He writes, one time I arrived in the middle of the night for a pickup at a building that was dark except for a single light on the ground floor. Under these circumstances, many drivers would honk once or twice, wait a minute, and then drive away. But I had seen too many impoverished people who depended on taxis as their only means of transportation. Unless the situation smelled of danger, I always went to the door. This passenger might be someone who needs my assistance, I reasoned. So I walked to the door and knocked. Just a minute, came a frail voice. After a long pause, the door opened. A small elderly woman stood before me with a small suitcase. All the furniture was covered with sheets. And she asked, would you carry my bag out to the car? I took the suitcase to the cab and then returned to assist the woman. She took my arm and we walked slowly toward the curb. She kept thanking me for my kindness. It's nothing, I told her. I just try to treat my passengers the way I would want my mother treated. When we got into the cab, she gave me an address and then asked, could you drive through the downtown area? And he said, well, but that's not the shortest way. So here's a man of integrity, right? It's not the shortest way. Oh, I don't mind, she said. I'm in no hurry. I'm on my way to a hospice. I looked in the rearview mirror. Her eyes were glistening. She said, I don't have any family left, and the doctor says I don't have long to live. I looked in the rearview mirror. Okay, I'm sorry. I quietly shut off the meter and then said to her, what route would you like me to take? For the next 2 hours, we drove through the city. She showed me the building where she had once worked as an elevator operator. The next was the neighborhood where she and her husband had lived when they were newlyweds. And then another area which had a ballroom where she had once gone dancing as a young woman. Sometimes she would sit staring into the darkness, saying nothing. As the first hint of sun came upon the horizon, she suddenly said, I'm tired, let's go. We drove in silence to the address she had given me. It was a small convalescent home with a driveway that passed under a portico. 2 orderlies came out to the cab as soon as we pulled up and helped her into the wheelchair. I took the small suitcase to the door. How much do I owe you, she asked, reaching into her purse. Nothing, I said. You have to make a living, she answered. Oh, there will be other passengers, I said. Almost without thinking, I bent and gave her a hug, and she held onto me tightly. She said, you gave an old woman a moment of joy. Thank you. I didn't pick up any more passengers that shift. I drove aimlessly, lost in thought. For the rest of the day, I could hardly talk. What if I had refused to take the run or had honked once and then driven away? What if the woman had gotten an angry driver or one who was impatient to end his shift? On a quick review, I don't think that I have done anything more important in my entire life. Love. That's love. Love is the answer, and love always wins. Master Teacher Jesus said, love one another as I have loved you. And Dr. Holmes says, the only thing that can bring love, joy, peace and prosperity to the world. Listen to this, is a direct experience of the Spirit at the center of our lives and at the center of the lives of others. And we know that Spirit is love. Love is Spirit, interchangeable. So, taking action in our lives, with our families, with our communities, requires that we start by loving ourselves. It's important to create win-win solutions, to find the balance between self-care and giving to others. When we serve by example and share our experiences with people around us, we inspire others to do the same. So here's a practice that I invite you to consider this week and beyond. Number 1, sense spirit or love at the center of your own being. Begin there. That's the beauty of our spiritual practices. And then practice sensing it in other folks, everyone that you encounter, everyone you think about. Choose love and compassion in thought, word, and action to the best of your ability. And notice the increased inner harmony you feel. You notice the change. And here's the deal. If we slip and we say something unkind or whatever, because it happens to all of us, be compassionate with self. Forgive yourself. Do what you can to make amends with the other person. But the thing is to continue to return to love, to return to love, to return to love. Because the universe and everything in it is made of the essence of love. And so whatever is happening, love is the answer. If you choose love, love wins. Any other questions? And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Kathleen.